Well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the program today. And today's guest is a good friend, colleague, industry trainer, and last but not least, the president at Pembertons in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Jim Pemberton, how are you today?
Doing great, Jeff. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I asked Jim to join me on this program because something happened recently that spawned this topic today. I was at a restaurant, and when we got our check, there was a 3% surcharge added to it. And it isn't really a problem. It was $1.65, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I took a picture of it, posted it on my Facebook feed, and we've had dozens of responses. And one of them was Jim's response. This is why I wanted to talk to him today about this. Unfortunately, I did tag the restaurant, so bad news for them that all this bad PR is going their way. But Jim, I have to say that I'm relieved that our own industry is not adding a surcharge to their tickets.
I'm afraid over the years I've seen it. The fuel surcharges, it would be an example. And, fuel is a major cost to our industry, both for transportation and operation of equipment. My feeling is whether it's a fuel surcharge or charging people extra to use a credit card as an example, even things like environmental disposal fees, which are questionable, all of them remind the customer of the problems they face. Just let's stay right on the fuel. They fill up the tank and it's expensive for them too. So what you're doing is you're creating an identity of your company with the problem. And even though they can commiserate and you can say, yeah, I know, we're all facing it. Now you're having a conversation about a negative with a customer, even if they're understanding. There's no place to do that. Raise your price accordingly and shut up. You want to be a part of the solution to them, never a part of the problem. So that's my rant about that.
Yeah. And that was my whole thing was, in fact, I have it here in front of me. Let me look at it real quick. It says that the surcharge was added to your check to cover increased labor and operating costs. So in your comment on the Facebook feed, you said something like that the business is then making the customer the problem.
Right. And reminding the customer of the problems we're all facing. And it's the same reason talking about the news is rarely a positive thing in business or in personal life. Mm-hmm. There's so many more important things we can talk about in our personal lives or business than commiserating over things we have no control of. But just going back to marketing, why would you create any situation where you have your customer thinking anything negative at all, even if it's commiserating? It's not helpful. There's a saying in business I really like, and I do my best to live by. Never for the sake of your own convenience, inconvenience a customer. And if a couple percent surcharge for whatever you think that helps your bottom line, the negative you've done and the bad moments of truth added to that, I think costs way more. The people that fix my vehicle, they always say you pay them a check or a card, because if I pay by a check, I pay the list price, they add on for the card. If they just gave me a discount for the check, it'd be the same thing, but it irritates me every time they say it, even though I never pay them by card, but it just annoys me. And annoying your customer is not what we need to be doing.
It's interesting because it is such a tiny thing, but and some of the comments on the Facebook feeds were like, well, I then might reduce the tip to the server. Well, the server isn't getting that 3%. So, right. Jim, the reason why we're here today is to talk about a solution. So to me, and I think you said it, add it on, make it part of your pricing. Here's what I'm thinking. We can easily adjust our charges. And adding a surcharge, the customer might say, well, I can't add more to my costs or to what I get when I have to drive to work. We can do it, but they can't. So what do you think the real solution is here?
Just raise your price. You should always be raising your price, not just because of costs, but we're hopeful that our business offering is improving. The service that we offer is so valuable. I know it seems like a cliche, but the cleaning industry massively undercharges for what it does. And look, there's a lot of factors involved, but one of them is generally between our ears. I know what these folks do. I know what it costs them to do the things they do to be in a cleaning business. And I also know, if I have the time for this, since the pandemic, people have become more and more insular, less trusting of others. They have what I call a smaller circle of trust, almost like a sphere of trust. You're either in that or out of that. And once you're inside of that, you're so valuable to the customer. They don't want to be shopping for another cleaner. They want that person they can trust the code to come in the garage, that person that they can leave the home unattended and have you clean. That's invaluable. So raising your price 5 or 10% instead of a 3% surcharge, absolutely. And just the fact that you're still talking about your restaurant experience says everything. You don't want to be that person, as the cleaning customer. You don't want to be that person.
Mm-hmm. So for anyone watching this right now, if you're adding a surcharge to the invoice and it's visible, if it says 3%, 5%, 10%, Jim Pemberton and I think the same way. Don't do that. Add it into your regular charge. It's the cost of doing business. Don't make your customer feel like they're part of the problem.
Exactly.